Thou my best thought by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light.
For Christmas time and the holiday season will be here before you know it. So, I don't want to take all our time because, of course, on Sunday afternoons I'm supposed to only have 10 minutes, but I wanted to give you kind of a sneak peek at the fall and some exciting things that we have ahead. We, of course, on Sunday afternoons use our time together to work on this idea of breaking free, but specifically using the key that God gave us, the key being His book, the Bible. And we look at the Bible, we look at a book of the Bible, and we give you a summary of that book to then you go back and read that summary. This week, you only have 5 chapters to read. It's one of the shorter little books of the New Testament, not the shortest by any means, but certainly not Psalms kind of length. And so you can certainly read it in a week's time, and we would encourage you to do that. Now, somebody said, well, what all have we covered already? The answer to that is Genesis and Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers and Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges and Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Job and Esther, Job, Psalms and Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, the Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel and Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. We've also covered Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Acts and Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, and today, 1st Thessalonians. So 1 Thessalonians, of course, is another epistle written by the Apostle Paul to a local congregation. Can you imagine being in a local church and you go out to the mailbox one day and the secretary goes and gets the mail out, and she comes back to the building and the preacher says, well, what did we get in the mail? And she says, oh, we got a letter. Who's the letter from? Well, it's from the Apostle Paul. That's kind of the scenario here. The letter would have been delivered to a member of that church or that congregation, and then because of its significance, most biblical historians think probably what happened was the church would have assembled, maybe even the day that they received the letter. Maybe the word would have gone out that, hey, we have received a letter from Paul. Everybody should come tonight to this assembly. And I don't know this for sure, but probably even with an announcement of a letter from Paul himself, there were probably still some that didn't show up. And I guess we just can't let that bother us maybe. They're just missing out on a good opportunity. But a lot of folks would have rushed to the location to be there for the reading. They would have then opened the letter and began to read. And as they opened this letter and began to read, what they would have seen was some instruction, some encouragement from Paul. As a matter of fact, the first 3 chapters of this book, the first 3 chapters is just a celebration of faithfulness. Their faithfulness and some other congregations' faithfulness, some individual people's faithfulness. But for the first 3 chapters of the book, Paul again and again says, I am thankful for this one, I'm thankful for that one, who is doing so much, who has done this thing, who is doing that, or who is going here or doing that. And he's just pointing out that, hey, there are people that are busy in the kingdom. What a great thing that is, by the way, isn't it? When we notice people that are busy in the kingdom. Now, I know a lot of people that will serve and that do things behind the scenes, especially some of you that are kind of quiet and sneaky. We know some of those folks, right? Say, I don't want any praise for this, and we understand that. But on the other hand, it also does us all good maybe sometimes to say, hey, thank you for your service. And we have a lot of folks that do good things. I know you know that, and a a lot of times, especially on Sunday afternoons or Wednesday night, you could look around the room, and a lot of the people sitting in the room are people that do good things, do things even behind the scenes, give cards and letters, go make visits and phone calls, cook food, deliver food, help with all kinds of things. We put out a call, by the way, the other day for a walker for Brittany Chorek. Remember that? And she got 3 walkers that day. We had an appeal to go and move a piano, and I mentioned this morning during Bible class that we had great turnout there, and it influenced the folks that we were moving the piano for and the people that we moved the piano from, and our folks were blessed by that too. Little things make a difference. We put out the call to go to Hatton House, and we had 22 of our own folks that were there, and we appreciate you so much. We do meals, and there is always plenty of food, the leftovers almost always. I don't guess I've ever seen a time where we didn't have at least a scrap around the corner of a bowl or something to eat. And a lot of that is because of some of you. And we appreciate you and want to notice that. Paul spends 3 chapters of a book just doing that kind of thing. Maybe that's a lesson that we need to learn. I know I am guilty sometimes of not giving praise where praise is due. But that really is a biblical idea, isn't it? That we should give praise where praise is due, that there are those things that people do and say and things that they offer that are deserving of being recognized. And so it is that Paul would recognize faithfulness as a great achievement. Then in chapters 4 through 5, he challenges the people to not stop. Is there a temptation sometimes to stop? I think there is. I think sometimes we get tired or we get frustrated. You think it was frustrating for old Noah to preach for 120 years and nobody respond? I think that's probably, coming from the perspective of a preacher, that would be frustrating sometimes. And I'll just mention this just kind of as a note for you. Sometimes it's amazing when you get up and preach. Sometimes you pour your heart out into a lesson. You think this will be something that somebody needs and will move people to action, and nobody responds. And you get up the next time and you say, Mary had a little lamb, and half the church responds. I don't understand how that stuff works. I guess the point is that we have to trust God and His timing on things, don't we? People are moved not just by my words, but by God touching their hearts. And so it's God that gives the increase, not us as individuals. So Paul says, don't become weary in good deeds. Don't get tired of serving. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't stop. Don't let the fact that somebody that you've been working with doesn't respond cause you to be lost. Instead, you just go on to the next person and encourage somebody else. That person may very well be the one that responds. This particular thing that you think is a great idea that might work well for church growth or improvement or to help people along their way in the pursuit of heaven. You try it, and for some reason it doesn't seem to be very successful. Paul says, hey, don't quit. Even if that's the case, you just move on to the next thing. Keep trusting God and keep serving God, and God will bless your efforts. What a reassuring little book, that God will bless our efforts. Specifically, he says, hey, there are 3 places where God is looking to bless your efforts. God is looking to bless your efforts in holiness. That's that idea of rightness on your own. So Paul says, hey, in your own life, I'm challenging you to be the very best that you can be. You be holy in what you're doing. You be holy yourself, and don't stop. You have areas that are weak areas. All of us have them. You have some area that you need to keep working on. You don't get tangled up again in that sin that so easily besets. But instead, you keep working for holiness. That's the first part of those 2 chapters, by the way, chapters 4 and 5. He doesn't stop there. He says you continue to be growing in love. one for another and for God himself. Don't let love be one of those things that you say, hey, I love you, but don't really mean it. Instead, you pick it up and do something with it, right? Don't just say I love you. Really show people that you love them. So he challenges in that area. And then, as he often does, he ends the book by talking about a challenge to get to a future place of hope. This place of hope, of course, is heaven. And he says we have hope. We are not as those who are unbelieving. We're not as those who have not heard the gospel. We're not as those who have no hope. But instead, we are in a position where we have a future that is sure. We have a future that we can hope for and long for and look for. Paul would say, I'm dying daily. I'm putting myself away daily because I'm looking forward to something in the future. I die daily now so that I can live in the future. And that's what we would be challenged to do even today ourselves. To put away ourselves through faithful obedience and live in a way that God will be pleased with. I don't know. We always sing an invitation song, and Justin's going to come and lead us in a song. As a matter of fact, Justin, come on this direction. By the time you get here, we'll be ready to sing. We sing this invitation song, and we say to people, hey, if you need to become a Christian, come. If you need to be restored, then come. I'm saying to you again today, come, don't wait. It may be that you are in a place where you say, I've kind of lost the focus, and I, like these folks that Paul is writing to, need to get back on track. Then come. Don't delay. Make things right with God if you need to this afternoon as we stand together and as we sing.